Okay, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that short applause. And speaking of short, please welcome my good friend, Mr. Paul Williams.
Honey,
Oh, Paul, I just love the way you talk and sing. It's wonderful. You know, Paul, the song that I really love, my absolute favorite is Evergreen. It's wonderful.
well, thanks, Lee. I'm gonna do Rainy Days and Mondays.
Even more wonderful.
Rainy Days and Mondays always get me down. Talking to myself and feeling low. Sometimes I like to wait, but it never seems to fit. Hang on around, nothing to do with wrong.
Is the drive-in gate open for the guests?
Can't get me down to it.
I always wanted to be with you. I still know something about you.
I love you. Isn't he wonderful? Thank you very much, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome, Lee.
Alrighty then.
Oh my gosh, how cute is that? I mean, really, that is one of my favorite impersonations your mom has done, and she's so good at all of
Oh,
them.
I don't know
Well,
about that.
because Seth showed that to me for the first time, like a week ago. So cute. Is there anybody your mom couldn't impersonate?
No, because she was a mimic.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter if it was boy or girl and singing or otherwise. She mimicked him perfectly.
Yeah.
That was one of her routines, her gifts.
Well, welcome everybody. I am so excited. Are we on yet?
We are on yet.
All right.
Oh,
so
I haven't even turned on our side monitors. Keep
No,
talking. Say hi.
Okay, I will. I don't know if you can see me, but you can most definitely hear
they
me.
can see
And
you.
I just want to say welcome and happy Saturday night. This is going to be a really fun night. Something different. You know, I think it's going to be very interesting. If any of you love collecting or have ever thought about collecting, tonight is going to be a wonderful masterclass from Todd about collecting posters and paper goods, because those are great things to start out with. Some people, that's all they collect because they get so, crazy about the thrill of it. So what we did was we went in just about 20 minutes ago. We taped part of our collection so that you could see, what it was that turned us on, and especially Todd, because he's been collecting forever.
Stay with us.
And I actually, before I met Todd, collected historical autographs. And so my first thing I ever bought was a signed Charlie Chaplin, and it was a Charlie Chaplin. It was a photograph of Charlie Chaplin when he was probably, I'd say, in his 40s or 50s, and it was a personal photograph, and he was very distinguished looking and had such a beautiful smile. And so I had to have that because something signed by Charlie Chaplin. I don't even know if there's a lot of that out there. And the less there is out there of someone's signature, the more valuable it is, of course. When people pass away, that also happens because you're not going to get any more. And so that's a really cool thing. So I collected, I still have my Judy Garland, which I love. I have, let's see, I have the mayor of Munchkinville. You signed this really great picture of he and the Tin Man and the lion and Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the mayor of Munchkinville, and he signed that for me. I have some things to me that are silly and probably not worth a lot, but mean a lot to me. I have a signed Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver. That, believe it or not, is a big deal for me because I grew up watching that show. And so while it may not be terribly valuable, it's very sentimental for me. So I
Hey,
love
John,
that.
pan camera 4 of Kat with the PTZ cameras.
Thank you.
'Cause she's over in the corner there.
Yeah. So I have, a collection that I collected before Todd, and then some of them were so rare,
Was it
like
too far?
Katharine Hepburn didn't. Whoops, where'd I go?
Oh, he wiped.
He went three. He went 180.
He did.
I know. It's okay.
It went around backwards. It's okay.
So I collected those, for maybe the last 20, 25 years. I started collecting when I lived in New York, and I wanted this one autograph. It was a piece of music, and it
I'll
was
show you what
from
to
Mozart. And he had been writing a piece of music and then stopped it. And you can just see the frustration in the penmanship and what it was. And I wanted to buy it so much, but it was crazy expensive, as you can imagine. Although now I look back and think I should have bought it because it's worth so much more now. I have since sold many of my pieces because I did buy some of them as an investment. And I waited for enough time to go by, and people wanted them and were willing to pay outrageous amounts of money for it. So for me, that was an investment. The Judy Garland, I don't think I'll ever get rid of. There's just certain things I have that mean so much to me that I can't imagine selling them. And some things you'll buy as a potential investment. So that's what collecting is about. It's about collecting the things that excite you, make you feel good to own it, make you feel good to own a piece of a person that you just admire so much. And so we went around the house about a half hour ago, and we filmed our posters so that Todd could tell you a little bit about those. And so may I introduce to you your teacher of today's master class.
Oh, well.
My amazing husband, who I love so much,
When
Todd
I'm
Fisher.
When I'm asleep.
Yes, I love you when you're asleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, last week, if you remember, we did a lot of Star Wars collectibles,
Yeah.
and we focused on that. And so within that arena, there's a lot of paper
Right.
that are affordable.
It's
not
funny,
everybody.
I never heard of it referred to as paper before I met you, but that's
Well, not
exactly what
everybody
it
can
is.
afford, that or some really high-end pieces.
Yeah.
So like you gotta go where you can afford it. So paper is a good place to start.
And you know what's great? Sometimes you can find great paper at estate sales.
For sure, because
I mean, like really, for very little money, you got to know that you'll talk to them about auctions, about the little auctions, not the big ones. Of course, you always have to have someone verify an autograph. What's that called when you get it appraised?
Well, you have it authenticated by
yeah.
someone who does signatures. The other way to do that, of course, is to look on the internet. You can see, other verified signatures and compare it to what you were looking at. Buying an estate sale, though, depending upon the situation, some other collector, that's either gotten tired of it or they passed away and their family doesn't know even what it is. We have gotten some amazing things
Yep.
at estate sales or even swap meets, garage
Oh
know,
my gosh,
boot sales, as
yeah.
they say in Europe.
Yeah, boot sales. So there's many ways to look for paper goods, and some of them you'll just find treasure. So if you like going to garage sales, or what do you call them, swap meets,
Well,
or
that's what I call 'em.
estate sales, or we
I love going. I find
to
it very
those.
relaxing. To me,
Yeah.
it's the last holdout of pure capitalism. There's nobody there trying to charge sales tax on everything. The government's not involved. There's no real regulations. I mean, there's just one person with a bunch of stuff that they found that they're trying to sell to you, and you can go over there and start crying about the price and tell them about your sick mother-in-law and why you can't afford that price. I mean, it's really to me.
I'm telling you, you are a good negotiator.
I am, but it is to me like fun to negotiate.
Yes.
It isn't like, oh, I couldn't afford an extra $5 for that thing, but that's not the point. The point is it's only worth this much. So to me, it's worth this.
Yes.
And sometimes, it may not be worth retail to me. So I'm only going to buy that, if in fact it is actually worth it to me. And so you have to decide that for yourself. Like Ryan has so much stuff, he might be trying to missing one little piece to fill out a whole collection. So he might be willing to pay a premium for something just to fill out the collection. Anyway, let's take a small journey here and show you what is in our house. And what's interesting about this is it starts with me talking about my mother collecting stills. Ever since I'm a little boy, these stills have been on the wall down in my mother's, what was her rehearsal room, even at Greenway. And she started collecting autograph pictures from her best friends, knowing that they were huge stars, I guess. She also, for whatever reason, collected the astronauts at the same time. That was like a big deal to her. So
To your mom?
Mixed in with these were all the astronaut photos, written, Buzz Aldrin.
You
and
know
Glenn.
what? Buzz Aldrin was at our party for the night
were
before
friends
the
forever.
first.
First
I
auction.
remember being a little starstruck over that.
But also, others,
Yes.
and so everybody that, Neil Armstrong, she had them all. That was something that turned her on, so that's how you have to feel that out for yourself, what turns you on.
Yep.
So enough said about that. We're gonna switch over to my telephone, because we shot this on my phone, speaking of collectibles. And so here's my phone, and here we go. Let's see if we can make this happen.
All right. It's a show the folks at home how it's done moment.
Okay, so we have to make sure we get that sound
So
on.
while you do that,
Shh. Nope.
See, I consider this her posse. These were her girlfriends, Ann Miller, Esther, Sid Charisse, etc., June Allison. But if you go close on here, you see these are all written to her. Now, in the truest sense of the word, that wouldn't necessarily be as collectible as if it just had a signature for certain people that just collect generic signatures. But it is my mom, and so it has sort of a special feel to it. So it's not how you would typically necessarily collect. But this is all signed. Every one of these is signed. And then down here is all of her, mostly her strips and other collectibles. These are some awards in here. Then we're back to more signed pictures from all of her friends. This one's from Gary Cooper and Glenn Ford, and from you name it. I mean, everybody has gotten in here. Hugh Griffith is there, and Spencer Tracy. So all I can say is that if you're going to collect autograph pictures, it's you got to kind of narrow in on what turns you on. Some people, like in this case, I've got a grouping on how the Western won. So I sort of focused on that. It's kind of a good way to do it. Now, in her case, I don't know what motivated her to sort of get all these, but this is her whole life of asking people to sign things to her. There's her and Sammy, Agnes Moorehead, Bob Hope, Annie again. Down here is kind of a cool one. This is a letter from Katharine Hepburn to her. And if you go in on that, you'll see that very stealthy kind of writing. So she wanted that, Dear Debbie, from Kate Hep. And she asked a lot of these people sometimes to send her notes. So like this is for Debbie, who understands and respects the power of film. That's from Lillian Gish. And here's one. Now this is actually a Betty Davis that I collected, and it's not to my mom. But I do have several, obviously, that my mother signed. And here's one of Mary Pickford as well. And it's not This is not specific. This is a collectible. This is something you found. And you create little collars like that, which is kind of cool. A letter to somebody, a picture of the star, and any other information. I mean, it's unusual that you would have one, to Debbie. Let's put it that way. We're going to get into posters on the show today mainly, and here's like my best poster, probably the rarest poster in my collection, if you get back you can see it, for scale. That's what they call a 6-sheet. It's over 6 feet by 6 feet. And the plexiglass alone, because it's UV protected, is very expensive to frame these and mount them. It's linen backed. That's the only 6-sheet that I've ever seen of Singing in the Rain. So that's one of my best posters. There's a King Kong down there, which is very rare. That's a Fay Ray King Kong. But we're going to pick this up down in the living room. So, and you know what? I bet I can get Kat to join us. I was wrong. We didn't get Kat to join us. I'm in the bathroom. You see, this is the Star Wars bathroom, although it's really the Vegas bathroom. That's our little his and hers to come in the bathroom. But everything in here is Vegas memorabilia. Even the posters are Vegas oriented. But if you look at a lot of the close-ups, it's pictures of my mother and father at the Tropicana, my mother at the Sands. That's my mother at the Tropicana with the guy Eddie Cantor, who discovered my mother and father. Bob Goulet, there's an Elvis poster from one of his shows. This is when they named Debbie Reynolds Drive after my mom. There's Governor Miller with me and my mom. Down a little further, yep. And a lot of this is also just straight collectible. Like this is just a postcard of the Dunes. It's really just a collectible, but since she performed at the Dunes, I didn't have a lot from the Dunes specifically. So we were putting kind of Vegas things there. This is a campy little poster. It was sort of the centennial celebration of Vegas. You can see my mother's in there, and Ezekiel Leroy and a lot of other people. Of course, Wayne Newton and that stuff. There's a Frank Sinatra piece there. There's a poster of Sinatra's Sands, which is a cool poster. That stuff's all very collectible and getting harder and harder and harder and harder to find. And when you have as much wall space covered with stuff as I do, a lot of this, even though this is world-class stuff, it's found its way into here, which is the Vegas bathroom. We'll see if we can get Kat to join us this time. I finally got her to join me. I did the other segments, against my will, because she wasn't available. But now she is. So here's Kat.
No, here's Todd.
Well,
this is your wall.
Okay, well, we're going to start with this little short wall. Really cool, litho of Carrie that I thought was kind of cool. This is a poster from the last, this is the... So I obviously like Star Wars stuff because of Carrie, Ryan collects it because he loves it. And so this is
Be
the
careful
Star
not
Wars
to
side.
load
Then
up
we
the
kind of
network
shift
or
over
try
to
to
Kat's
send me
wall.
anything.
So I'll let her
That's
do her
what's
wall.
stopping
Oh my
this.
gosh.
Just
So I have a lot more memorabilia from my own career than this, but I just need one wall. The others can sit in storage because these are some of the most precious moments to me. And
See Nugget?
I love this piece right here because it's Todd and I recreating Debbie and Eddie's honeymoon in the same place, in front of the same building 60 years later. So this is a special piece. This is from the outside of the Imperial Theater in New York City, where I did Les Mis on Broadway. So I went and I took that off after the run was over because I thought it'd be cool to have that, so I did. But you can buy things like this from Broadway Cares, the flea market. They sell all kinds of cool things like this if you're ever in New York City for that. This is my music from Les Mis. It's I Dreamed a Dream. And this is my still from that. And that's Claude. He came from England, and he is the composer, one of the composers of Les Mis, so I had him sign my music. Never be afraid to ask people to do that, because it's really a neat thing to have, and again, at Broadway Cares Market, I sign music like that, it's very cool. This is the platinum record when I did Night Rocker with David Hasselhoff. I have 3, I think, songs on there, maybe 4, I don't remember. And so I got a platinum record because it sold so many copies. And then this is from One Life to Live, a scene with Nora and Lindsay. There's Tad.
Explain the collectability of this, because the show's about collecting. So
Right. So the collectability for this is that there's always going to be fans of One Life to Live, fans of 8 is Enough, fans of Les Mis, fans of, again, One Life to Live. There's Chuck Connors and I. So these are my personal things. Of course, I didn't have to. I was given this by Ryan as a gift, so I didn't have to buy these per se, but like one day there'll be somebody that One Life to Live, and they,
tell us about that cover right there.
And what it does is this just tells the story.
Tell us
But
about the
people
cover.
that love this show might like to have any of these things. Variety. This is I was on the cover of Variety, and so honored. Only soap star to ever, be on the cover of Variety. It's only once a year. And the year before me, it was Bo Derek, and I was completely stunned when they offered this to me. I took it, of course, because that's a big deal. And when it's all said and done, this is from the movie 10 with Dudley Moore. This is me when I was a young, buxom thing right there.
Well, you're still buxom for damn sure.
There you go. I keep working on that, So the whole, all of this, and this over here is just a little bit more, and then I'm done
Well, let's
here.
do this. So
I just want to show this because in case.
That just
Richard
one?
J. Alexander, I owe him so much, and he's a great friend also, but he was my boss.
But you see the way that
Can
can I have that?
you can
You
have
see
it.
the way she did it? She took her just to her photo and put it with the letter, and that's a really good way to make something very more collectible, more desirable, especially as it relates to her specific. But even if that wasn't her, that's a great way to bring things together and make them more valuable.
Yep, and then this is from
Costume
the
sketch.
play, a costume
Now,
sketch.
we aren't going to be showing any costume sketch, but that is a very interesting paper collectible, are the costume designers for many of the famous costumes, all the great costume designers from Adrian to Walter Plunkett. They did these elaborate costume design sketches, and they can be very valuable. I have some that are worth thousands.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes open for those.
So
as well.
for me, this is just my personal one, but if people were fans of any of that, then that would become a collectible.
This is one of my favorite posters.
Me
that we
too.
have. It's a Viva Las Vegas poster. You can see this is a very poster. Now, this is a European poster, so it's really the biggest one that was released in Europe. It's equivalent to the American 6-sheet. But you can see this thing is, almost 5 feet tall, certainly 6 feet tall. But isn't that an awesome poster, graphically speaking? I mean, that's a movie you and I want to go out and see. You got sexy romance. You got.
So, but how many sheets would this be?
Well, this is the equivalent of probably a good 4. The one upstairs, we looked at seeing the rear.
So you look for single sheet posters, which would be one of
Well,
those.
and these aren't necessary. These can be very valuable because of what it is, but they're not as collectible because most people don't have this huge wall space. So watch out, and it's very expensive to mount up all this. Like this frame alone is over $1,000. The mounting of it's over $1,000. So you better have an expensive poster if you're going to start tackling this. This is our dining room, and you have pictures in here that relate to food. So Kat's going to tell you what those
Okay.
are.
So this was Todd's idea, and because we, have these posters, and so he decided that our dining room should have all posters that have something to do with getting together for a meal. So breakfast at Tiffany's, of course, everybody loves Audrey Hepburn, and these are all original posters, of course, and so, we love to display them. Guess who's coming to dinner with Katharine Hepburn and Sidney Poitier? Spencer Tracy, of course. Then over here is dinner at 8. So John Barrymore, Wallace Beery. This is a very famous film. Also, The Wedding Breakfast. Well, you probably are thinking, wait a minute, I never heard of this movie. This movie was actually renamed, or am I right about
Yes,
this?
Catered Affair.
Yeah, a catered affair. And so this was, I guess, a poster that was made
For
and designed
Australia.
For Australia, yes.
I actually, normally I wouldn't collect this, but I had to have this poster for a very simple reason. The name was cool that they changed the name, but more cool than that is this right here. Because this movie is so benign, but they put a big stamp there that says not suitable for children, Which is hilarious, because this movie is the most benign subject matter. It's somebody who doesn't want their parents to pay for a wedding.
And what children are subjected to now is
There are no
nothing.
TNA,
That's
there are
right.
no protesters. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like hilarious that that's somehow...
And you can't see it very well, but a catered affair, which is what that ended up being called, this is the poster for a catered affair.
10 minutes to showtime. We will see you all live. in
Yay!
just
I'm
10
so
minutes.
excited.
Okay.
Well, then you got to.
That is...
That's a lot of posters. That's a lot of paper.
Well, and we never got into the living room and other, well, actually,
No.
there's so much more. And,
Yeah.
and there really is no end to it. And it's not all my fault. You know, a lot of this started so long ago. I mean, the picture side of the collection, my mother started when I was a little boy. She did not collect movie posters. That started after the MGM auction, and I was the one that started holding on to the posters. She tried to get me into it because she knew it was something that I could handle, they weren't super expensive. And I think back when we first bought DR Studios back in the 70s, we purchased a lot of posters from the MGM auction, and we didn't know what to do with these posters. And then it was like, let's cover the friggin' walls at DR Studios in movie posters. And so we did. And for 50 some years, many of these posters sat on those walls. In addition, some nightmare story that goes with that is Jerry Wunderlich, a famous set designer, decorator, friend of my mother's, was designing and doing the interior design for Debbie Reynolds Dance Studio in North Hollywood. And he decided to cut up a bunch of movie posters and make a collage.
Who did this?
Jerry Wunderlich.
Oh.
Because then these posters weren't really that valuable. But
Now?
But the wall was destroyed, and it is like wasted, like high-end posters, were chopped up and it was an amazing collage, don't get me wrong, but there, in today's money, there may have been $25,000 worth of posters destroyed making a collage in the, it was the break room at DR Studios where he'd done this. But this segues into an interesting part of what we're doing today, which is we're going to be talking about collecting and how to collect and why to collect and all that. We're sort of telling this story by saying what was on the walls at Debbie Reynolds Dance Studio.
Yeah.
And so if we go to the wide shot, I'm going to so all around me right now are posters that were
Wow,
on the walls.
I'm looking at the monitor and seeing what the set looks like. I mean, it has grown.
Well, many of these posters that you're seeing were on the walls at DR Studios, and they're part of our auction this week.
Yeah.
So this, it actually ends when when is this auction?
It starts tonight, and I believe if Ryan's there, he'll say, I think it ends at the end of this coming week, so
Okay.
next Friday.
The claim sale
Ryan, are
starts
you there?
tonight. The auction starts
Friday.
tonight.
Friday. Okay.
Ryan!
So Ryan is here.
Make yourself known.
He's here. He's got himself pinned out. But
Oh,
a lot of the posters.
I want to see him big as life.
Can you come up on the screen there, right?
Oh.
Or do I have to, there he is. Okay.
Yay! Now
has-
I feel better.
Ryan has arrived. Oh, he pinned himself right out. Do I need to pin you back up there, or you go away all the time?
Let's see.
Well, that's close enough.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Anyway, so what we're doing is there are two things happening while this show is going on. We're going to be showing you items that are in this new auction that will be ending this coming Friday. So we'll introduce them here tonight. In addition to that, there's going to be a claim sale this Sunday. Am I wrong about that or right about that? This
That is
Sunday?
correct, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So the claim sale has a whole lot of other things, some from DR Studios, some items otherwise, but most of which I think was like DR Studio type of collectibles. Some of them are still pictures that were on the wall, autograph pictures, posters, things like that. So really an interesting cross-section of items and some higher-end stuff in there that we normally would do. But movie posters are going to be in the auction, some of which are signed, some of which are not. And so having said that, it was sort of a natural segue to say my mother had put a lot of these posters and framed them and put them on the walls. So John, if you stay with me for a second, I'm going to go to John's camera, Buck. See if you can find him. You see him? There you go. Okay, so like this one here, this is an interesting poster because it's an older poster. This movie is very obscure, but because sometimes when these movie posters they may not be the most famous people, but they can get valuable because they're campy or they're fun. And so this one actually is worth quite a bit of money because it's more campy than anything else. I mean, these are not exactly giant movie stars we're talking about here, folks. You know, I mean, let me get some names off of this. It's almost like hilarious. So James Craig and Lola Lane. So, you know, and it was like, to me, this is like a B movie, but this poster actually has been pretty collectible. Moving a little to the right, John, is They Die With Their Boots On. Now, this is an example of a poster where you have some big name brand here, Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland. So this was an A-list movie, so you could see why that would be much more collectible in certain respects. But once again, ironically, this campy one could be worth more than this. Now, this is what we call an insert. It's half of a poster. So this is a full one sheet. If you notice, this is half of that poster. It's called an insert. And then a half sheet would be a poster cut in half, which I bet we have some. Do we have one of those? Oh, yeah, right here. So coming over here, John. So this is a half sheet. And you can see that the half sheet is half the poster going that way. Now, this is kind of a cool poster because there's a lot of Western fans. And again, this is not the rarest of the rare, but this is an original, this is a re-release poster. So when this movie first came out, I think it was in the 40s, this then movie was re-released in the 50s. So this poster is not as valuable as the first release. But because it's a cool subject matter, Billy the Kid, people want this for obvious reasons. You know, that it doesn't have to be, I mean, Robert Taylor, by the way, is a substantial star. So those are items that are actually going to be for sale on the auction. Here's another one over here, if you can follow me. I don't know if you can, John. So this is, you know, a cool, again, kind of campy, but Maureen O'Hare, you know, was the big star in here. Technicolor movie. This has got beautiful color. And if you notice, these are all have screw holes. So if you buy this at the auction and you want the glass and the frame, you could certainly have it. But it'll cost you more to get it shipped. Otherwise, these frames will be torn out. But these were hanging on the walls at DR Studios. Now, the other thing we're doing that's pretty unique, and Ryan hated this idea, but I overruled him. Do you have any of the flooring in here? Okay, so you guys remember a while ago, we had the Debbie Reynolds Dance Studio floors. John, you can get a shot of that. And what we did is we took sections of the Debbie Reynolds Dance Studio floor. This is the same floor Michael Jackson danced on, but even before it was at DR Studios, it was at MGM. So everybody from Fred Astaire to my mother, you name it, danced on this oak flooring. So if something goes for over $300, we're going to give you a piece of the floor. Otherwise, in the claim sale, there will be some more of these. We ran out of these a while ago. There's been a lot of requests. It is a cool item because it's fun when you think about, I've actually did my studio in that floor, in my recording studio, and it's kind of at times just a trip to sit there and think, man, this is, Michael Jackson did Thriller on this floor. Fred Astaire danced with Ginger Rogers on this floor. You know, it's a flash. So to have a little piece of that is fun. It's what I call one of the tangibles. A movie poster is something that was used to promote a movie, but it had no physical contact with a movie star. You know, the dance floor had physical contact, like the costumes. This is why my mother loved the costumes, because they were tangible. This is the thing the person was wearing. That is why we sell the clothes that we sell, because to me that's almost like the highest level of connectability to the star. The dance floor is certainly in the game. The movie posters are. The signatures, of course, are awesome because that's that person actually took the time to, in their hand, put their name there. So you can see why all these things have varying levels of collectability. Now, I have a couple things that I'll show you that I'm keeping that I'm just going to show you out of my collection. Over here, we're going this way. I know I'm going to freak John out. We're running across the stage here. I'll bring this back a little bit. So here's, my mother made this movie, In and Out, and I love this movie, first
I
of all.
love this movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is a
I love that
fantastic movie. But it's signed to Debbie from Kevin Kline and Tom Selleck. You know, and that has personal, she says, the mother of all moms. What a thrill to work with you, Kevin Kline. Now that, to me, has significance for all time. So, you know, it's not like I'm going to be selling that, but this is in my collection. But again, this was hanging on the walls at DR Studios You see the screw holes, the same thing. So that's why I say it might be relevant to you to want to have the frame just because of where it was. There is a 50-year significance. One other poster is over here. I'll bring it to you, John. Just let me walk through the frame. This one is another great movie, Mother. And this one, of course, to Debbie, All My Love, Albert. So, and my mom signed it also. But this was an awesome movie if you didn't see it. But again, so to me, this has significance. But, you know, finding some of these posters could be difficult. It is not so easy. Some of them are more obscure than others, and they get very, very famous as you go on. So over here, I guess I can hold this. So we have a Singing in the Rain poster. Now, this is not a full sheet poster, but this is an original re-release poster, but still, nonetheless, out of my mom's collection. It is more of an affordable Singing in the Rain poster.
And
Now-
that, of course, needs to be linen backed.
It should be linen backed
Yeah.
and framed properly. You can see this
Tell
has been in
people
the
if you
drawer.
get something linen backed, what that does for the poster.
Right. So, you know, when you let's say you have a poster like that or like this. So here's another important, like here's Cleopatra in an insert. This is a European version. I think this is Italian, but I love this one particularly because I love the imaging and I love Todd A.O. Zoom in on that. So like that's why I collected this poster because it said Todd A.O. So I think this is a really unique Cleopatra insert. And but linen backing it would eliminate the creases and forever protect it from getting damaged or torn further. And then it's easier and easier to frame. Now I'll show you an example of, like this is just thrown into a frame. So you see the folds are still there. If you linen back it, it would pretty much eliminate that. So
Plus, it preserves it.
the linen backing preserves it. Certainly isn't a better way to have a long-term preservation. The last one over here is Funny Girl. That's a one sheet. What makes this poster unique, there was, of course, when the movie first came out, should I move it or is it okay, John? Move it a little bit. Yeah, I'll move it. So this movie, when it first came out, would not have had Academy Award winning Best Actress because she hadn't won yet, right? So there will be a version of this, the original release, that would say this, the movie poster, without all that. This is what we call a secondary release after the Academy Awards come out, and if you pan down, John, and pick this up, you'll see it's talking about her winning the Academy Award. And if you go over here, this is actually signed by the director, Herbert Ross, to Debbie. So that's pretty unique because you're getting a signature from the director. And this hung at DR Studios as well for many years. My mother had costumes from this movie. That is why we had this poster. These are not linen backed. I don't think. This one I don't think it is. But some of the really high-end posters, you know, of course I would linen back. The reason why you don't linen back it is that it isn't worth it. Let's say you have a $100, $200 poster, cost $100 to linen back it or more, depending upon what other work might need to get done. Right over here, another poster from DR Studios. This, of course, is the movie Summer Stock. Great, fun film, you know, with Judy always putting on a show. Well, in this case, she doesn't want to put on the show, and Gene shows her how important it is to be in showbiz and talks her into being in show business, like as if Judy Garland ever needed to be talked into going into showbiz. But this poster is in what I would consider to be fair condition.
Hey, for fun, there's something playing. I think it's Michael Jackson rehearsing Thriller
okay. Yeah,
on the
go to
dance
camera.
floor. Look,
Go to-
but
go
this
to
is
2.
interesting. Roll it back.
No, we
because,
don't have to go back. You just cut to it.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I have not seen this.
Just cut to the. So this is the dance floor that I was talking about. That's DR Studios.
And you can see how
That's
huge
Michael
it
Jackson
is. Yeah.
On the dance floor rehearsing Thriller. We were just talking. John, stay with it and give me a close-up of this so you can cut to that in the middle of all that. So that would be, I think it's not.
Oh, that is so cool.
So while we're watching the video of Michael Jackson, which was this, we can There's the floor right there. So I had just talked about that earlier, where Michael, but before that floor ever made it there to DR Studios, it had a life at MGM as well. So this floor has a significant history to it.
I honestly, when you were pulling the floor up, I was shocked. I didn't even know you could pull a floor up. I didn't even know that was possible. I thought once a floor went down, that was it. That floor was so massive.
Normally, that is it until unless you're me. And
I just thought it was one of the funniest things.
When you're me, you're like, we're not going to let this go to the junk pile. So,
oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, a lot of people don't know, but we actually also have the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
The entrance.
The entrance, what do you call it?
Well, it's the porte cochere, the entryway into Grauman's used to be at the curb on Hollywood Boulevard. There was a tent that began.
Right.
Now, back in the 30s, it actually was canvas. But, of course, they got sick of replacing it all the time, so they actually made that out of metal all the way back. And so I have the roof that probably was installed in the 40s all the way back to the entrance to the theater door.
And the cage.
Well, the frame, and it has the address in it. But more importantly, everything from Singing in the Rain to Star Wars, was premiered at that theater, and everybody walked, including myself and Carrie and everybody, my mother, up that awning.
Yeah.
And then more interesting than that is just to the right where the awning ended, right on the ground, was my mother's handprints and footprints, and then later Carrie's plaque went there as well, right where that awning ended. So I have that awning, and so why, again, you ask yourself, why do you collect
And wait a minute,
these
but
things?
how did you happen to get your hands on that
Robert
awning?
Noodleman, who was head of the Hollywood Museum, and he and I had done a lot of preservation work, in Hollywood. We fought for a lot of buildings to be preserved. When Hollywood and Highland was going in around 2001, they were restoring Grauman's at the time, and they decided to take Grauman's back to the 1930s look without the awning in the courtyard. And so they said, well, we're going to shit can this. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean? Where's it going to go? Like to the dump? And they're like, yeah. I said, well, we're going to haul that out of there. So I put a crew together, and we tore it all apart and hauled it over to DR Studios, where it sat for a decade, about 20 years, behind the bushes. The ivy had grown all over it, and then we moved it here after we sold DR Studios.
Well, I mean, I honestly think Philip Bambarger was telling me that he has a piece of the old Hollywood sign.
Right.
They cut it up and sold it in pieces, which I think is an amazing little piece of collectible, because there was only one. I mean, there's one there now, but from the glory years, there was only one Hollywood Land.
It originally said Hollywood
and they
Land.
cut it up when they replaced it, and they sold pieces of it. And I would have loved to have had a piece of the Hollywood sign. I think that's a cool thing. I think that's what we should do with the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
No, I don't think so. Well, maybe.
No,
I don't know.
I really do, because I can't imagine that we'll ever erect it, because and I would like to own a piece of it.
It's a good thing we have my imagination.
Yeah, no, that's true.
We will.
But where
erect
will
it.
we put it?
I don't care.
We're running out of space.
It will lead up to my toilet if necessary, but it will be rebuilt.
That's right. But I don't know. If we don't, I think that we should,
Well, actually,
maybe.
I have too much of it, because it's about 80 feet maybe
See,
long.
you don't need 80 feet.
Right. I could
we could
share
cut
20
that up,
feet
and
with our people.
if people could own a piece of the Grauman's Chinese
But
Theater.
here's as a collector, here's something to watch out for. So, where did something come from? The term provenance is a very important term when you're buying anything collectible, because you need to understand where something comes from, because there are a lot of people out there that put together bogus things. There are people that fake signatures. I went into a very reputable autograph
I was
store,
with you.
and she was with me, and they had something of my sister's there, and it was absolutely not Carrie's signature. And so just for fun, I called over the salesperson, and I said, tell me about this item, and they gave me the pitch, and I said, well, I got bad news for you. I said, that is not my sister's signature. And the person just kind of stared at me, like with this dumbfounded look. I said, well, I'm Todd Fisher. That's not my sister's signature. You're selling a bogus signature. well, let me get the manager or whatever. But it goes to show you, even the better places get faked out. But to me, it was glaringly obvious because I'm an expert of her signature, not everybody's.
Yeah.
But the reality is there's a lot of that in so many different areas. Now, some things are just not worth faking. But like faking the Hollywood sign would not be difficult if you knew what you were doing, and that could be a whole scam. So where did that Hollywood sign piece come from, and how did he get it? Because then that's important. So he bought it from some auction that was, say, connected directly to the sign, and then it works its way down the line. That's why if you watch in the secondary markets of auctions, it's very important to mention, for example, things that came from my mother's collection. Because when they do that, people are like, oh, I get it. So MGM to Debbie to me. I mean, that is provenance. That is a trail that is impeccable. And if you don't have that story, then your item is worth less. Not worthless, but worth less.
Yeah.
So with the trail, it's worth more. When I tell you about these movie posters that we just saw, some of these posters would not be worth faking. They sell reproductions of all the posters because they can get away with it. But who really... Now, like if you want a copy of a poster that's worth thousands, there are fantastic copies that can be acquired of some of those posters if you can't afford that. But most of the posters I'm talking about, and even the ones I just showed you, are very collectible and very available, and they're not going to be faked by anybody. But a good example of a faked poster might be the Revenge of the Jedi. We know there are some of those out there that are people who faked because it's a $5,000 poster or more, and it's worth faking if they can get away with it. So once again, where did the poster come from is important at that point. So I recommend, that you always get as much of the story as you can with whatever you're buying. Ryan, he collects these action figures and things. Obviously, that's different. You're not going to be able to go back and say this came from Kenner, and then it went to the Kmart, and then so-and-so bought it. So you obviously can't have it on everything in the world. But when it comes to this stuff, hey, let's do that Woman of the Year poster real quick. I'll need your help with that. So here comes
that's a big one.
Seth. Well, this is a really cool poster I found the other day when we were looking for things to provide.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have many more posters that are not
Well, I've never seen this before,
out.
But my mother played on Broadway in Woman of the Year. And as you can see, this is, you got to zoom back, or we got to go to the wide shot. Buck, you don't wander off in the middle of the show. Hey, kick his ass if he tries to do that again. Don't let him out of that corner. Okay, that's cool. Well, no, go ahead for the close-up, John, but he's got the wide shot for scale. So this thing is 6 feet tall, right? Well, let's drop it down. How tall are you? You're 6 feet.
I'm 5'8". Well, no, with
You're
this,
not
I'm
5'8".
With these shoes, I'm 6 feet. But
Thank you.
5'8" normally.
I'm about to feel very short here. Okay, so at any rate, it's close to 6 feet tall. John, get the close-up. Buck, go ahead and get the shot. Buck, there you go. John, pan down so we could see Woman of the Year. So I decided to put one of these up. I found a couple of them. My mom obviously went out of her way to preserve it. It's never been linen backed. Let's roll it back up. But this is something, you'd want to frame directly or have it linen backed for preservation. I'm going to send one out and have it linen backed. I actually stumbled on this the other day. I didn't even know we had this. You see, there's right there, it says the Palace Theater in Broadway on 47th Street. So this is a pretty serious, rare poster, just as posters go. Broadway, though, is not as collectible as, some of these movies are. What did you want? Oh, what goes with it? All right, so he's got a playbill. John, this is on you. Got the original theater playbill, and then a still of her, that's the cover shot. There you go. Get your focus. So this is the original playbill that if you had gone and seen that show, this would be, it has the cast photos. There's a history on Debbie in here. So this, by the way, these are very collectible and not overly expensive. So you can create your own collection of playbills of theater shows, and that's kind of a fun thing to do. Do we have any of those, that movie? Did you bring the movie thing, or is that?
Which one?
We didn't have the press books, did we?
Oh, Ryan has the pictures of
Okay.
the Ryan sale.
Oh, by the way, we were talking about Grauman. Stay there, John. Here's the shot of Carrie. This is the plaque that's at Grauman's of Carrie next to my mother's handprints. So right where this awning ended, this is what plaque is in bronze in the ground, right next to my mother's handprints and footprints. And what's cool about that is it's the only mother-daughter team that's in the courtyard.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so there are no other mother-daughter or father-son. Maybe there's a father-son. I would think Barrymore or something maybe. But certainly the only mother-daughter team that made it to Grauman's courtyard, which is a true honor. It's one thing to get, the star. You can kind of buy that to a certain degree.
I just saw Frankie Valli got his star on the Walk of Fame at 90, maybe 2 weeks ago. What on earth would take so long? I mean,
because it's paid for.
Well, I know, but he could have bought that at any time.
Yeah,
Why make a man wait till he's 90 years old?
Because people when you're the star, they're like, hey, if it's not that big of a deal to you, or you would want somebody else to do it for you, they make you pay for that. I mean, I ponied up for Carrie's. I mean, they didn't give you anything.
Yeah.
So, you do want to have, you can get sponsors, I suppose, but back in the day, it didn't work like this. You had Johnny Grant, who was the quote-unquote mayor, honorary mayor of Hollywood. And Johnny had an organization that would pay for a lot of this if you were a big enough star.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have to pay for it. I mean, kind of rude to go to Frankie Valli and say, oh, yeah, give us $25,000 so you can put a star on Hollywood Boulevard. Frankie Valli, for crying out loud. I mean, the guy only had about 400,000 hits. It's absurd.
Well, I think he actually was not in great shape financially until Jersey Boys hit the scene, and then now they're all just absolutely loaded.
Listen,
because
nobody has 25,000 laying around.
No, I know. I was just saying. I mean, it's a lot of money, no matter how you look at it.
It is.
Yeah.
Even people that have a lot of money have their money because they don't put it in things like that.
Yes.
So I mean, most rich people, have their reasons for spending the money the way they do.
Right.
So Ryan, why don't we show a couple of the items that you have available. So Ryan's going to do a claim sale tomorrow. So I'll talk about these items because I don't even know exactly what he's going to toss up.
Yep.
So go ahead and throw
Let me
should I give you more
share
warning?
that with you here. Oh, I'll just send them to you and you can chat about them. Here's the first one.
Oh, that's a cool one. So this picture, you need to be on Zoom. Buck, Zoom. There you go. That's not Zoom. That's okay too, though. I'd rather you just go to the real deal. Go to Zoom. There's a button that says Ryan. Hit the button that says Ryan. Beautiful. Okay, so there is Sid Charisse, who I think is awesome, and she was really a nice lady. And this is signed, just best wishes, Sid Charisse. So it's a generic one. However, notice the holes in the frame. This was on the wall at DR Studios, so it has a double collectible side to it. She was, in my opinion, one of the finest dancers in Hollywood ever. And with those legs, you could win any award, and there's no heterosexual male that isn't mesmerized by those legs right there.
Or
I'm sorry.
otherwise.
Women too?
Everybody.
Everybody.
I think.
Aren't those mesmerizing?
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
not just me?
It's not. The legs are like not real. Only a praying mantis has legs that long. I mean, and they're beautiful.
And I've told the story a number of times, which is the story where, when I met her when I was a young boy, I only came up. Go to John's camera on this so we can play with it a little bit.
So this is in the claim sale?
This is in the claim sale.
Oh, this is awesome.
So when I was standing next to her, I came up just not even past
You came up to the sweet spot.
I was about in the sweet spot. And I could tell you it had an
That's
impact
right.
on me. To this day, I have dreams
And
about that.
I thank her for that.
Anyway,
It's just it did something to you.
so that's a good one. Now that's collectible if you collect autographs, and of course it comes from Debbie, which makes it kind of a double thing. And so we think that's a really cool item. And Ryan's going to put a fixed price on it based kind of on market. What else you got, Ryan?
Okay.
Oh, yes. All right, so we've done a few of these over time. This is a small poster from Unsinkable Molly Brown when she toured on the road. So this is after the movie when she actually took this out on the road. So we don't have a lot to say about that. These are insert sizes, and they're very affordable. We're trying to put things up that people can begin their collection with that aren't too expensive. And Now, this is a full-size one-sheet poster from the movie Star. This was hanging on the wall at DR Studios, partly because my mother had a little section to Julie Andrews at DR Studios, and I'm keeping the Mary Poppins and the Sound of Music one, but this one I'm allowing to go. Now, this is not signed, so this is just a really nice, clean poster that was at DR Studios. You have the option if you want to deal with the shipping on the frames with these items. Go ahead. So we have quite a few other, okay, so now this is a one-sheet poster signed by Whoopi. My mother, Whoopi must have been rehearsing something at DR Studios. I don't know. This poster is in fair condition. As you can see from this photograph, that it's got some tears in it. Not horrifying. You could linen back this and it would almost be mint. So this could be repaired nicely if you wanted to, if you're a Whoopi fan. And what makes it unique is that she signed Whoopi Goldberg when she didn't always do that. That is a little different.
She doesn't do that these days, no.
Just Whoopi, right?
Correct.
So, anyway, it's kind of an interesting one. If you happen to be a fan of hers. My mom had her other poster up as well. These are really nice. So these are program, I guess you'd call them books that were handed out when they would do the pre-screening of this movie to all of the theater owners. So if you're a theater owner, you would come in and they would give you this book, and inside of this book is all the different kind of posters that you could buy. You could order the 6-sheet or the 1-sheet or the half-sheet or the inserts. And everything, lobby cards, there's a picture there. Go back to the, so all of this, well, of course, it talked about the movie. So there's what we'll call the press clipping side of it. But also within that same book, you were able to order what you wanted for your theater. So you could pick the things that you want. So those are fun to collect. They're not super expensive.
I have a question to ask. So the last poster you just showed had, some damage on
the Whoopi one.
So what would someone do to get that restored? So
given that the poster's not super valuable, if you're a big enough fan and you want to keep that for your family for your reasons, then it might be worth linen backing it. Now that probably could get done for $100 or so if you shop around. That would smooth it out and get rid of all of that damage. You wouldn't see any of that anymore. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to spend a little bit more money, they will go in and airbrush everything out where it would be mint. And that one would be very restorable, based in my experience. Okay, this is a good example here. So this is a motion picture magazine. It was at DR Studios, and I believe this was in a place, obviously, like the commissary area where it got steam. So you see the damage is extensive to this. Mm-hmm. So we're going to put a good price on this. That's a real Debbie signature, obviously. But so this was on the wall at DR Studios, good Debbie signature, but we're going to go under the money on this so somebody can get this as a more affordable Debbie signature. But you could see that cover is damaged, from steam. I think it was near the coffee machine. This is a good example of a lobby card from the movie The Pleasure Is Company. And now this is a real Debbie signature, but it's signed to a guy named Russ, who I actually knew, who used to come to the Debbie Reynolds Hotel all the time and get her to sign things. And she used to say to him, it was pretty funny. He would come up with all these items. Like sometimes he had a handful of items, and he'd come up to my mother with his stuff, and she's like, "Oh, you again." And she'd sit there and sign them all for him, and he would be like, no, I want my name to me. And she'd say, "Now, Russ, you have 50 items signed to yourself. Don't you think it would be smarter just to have me sign it?" No, I want my name on everything. So this guy, I know this guy, and when he passed away, he was from Vegas, by the way. His stuff went to a local auction house, and I bought it back. And this is me buying back something that I knew the provenance on, of the guy that actually used to get in line and have my mother sign everything. So that's a funny little tale story. So this guy, Russ, was a huge fan. I mean, big time. Up there, it's Ferruccio without as much cash. I mean, the guy had enough money to buy all the paper things, but he didn't have any beautiful costumes and things like Frank's able to collect some of the real high-end stuff. Not everybody can do that. But if you can, more power to you. Okay, so that's a fun item, right? DR Studios item in that DR Studios wooden frame. Anything else you want to show?
Yep, hold on here. Let me...
By the way...
Oh, here's a nice one.
Oh, yes. Okay, so this is a big poster. This is a little oversized. a little bigger than a regular poster. I believe we may have sold one of these in the past. I found a couple of more. This is a map of North Hollywood. And up in the corner, I don't know if you'd be able to see it or not, but I can see it, is DR Studios. It's listed here. So you have Universal Studios down here, and every famous thing that's in there. But there's Debbie Reynolds' dance studio. So this is NoHo, which is abbreviated North Hollywood. And so that's kind of a collectible piece. Needless to say, there's the Burbank Airport and anything, Warner Brothers Studios. So anything that was famous, there's a Hollywood sign. I think this, and it's got all the businesses listed. So that's kind of a cool thing. If you're going to collect a poster or some items from DR Studios and you have the floor, here you could have the poster that talked about that. You could make a whole thing, and not for a lot of money. These are not break the bank items.
Oh, Larry Zabel.
So Larry Zabel was my father-in-law. He's a world-class Western artist, and I have the original painting of this, which is over like 8 feet wide.
Yes, it's so beautiful.
And what happened here is he painted a scene from How the West Was Won. And so go to John's camera for a second. John, you zoom in.
We have that active print right there, Todd, if you want to show it close up.
Oh, he can do, oh, well, no, he can just do what he's doing. He's got me here. This is my mother and Thelma Ritter on the wagon train.
Or switch to that camera, Todd.
What's that?
It's on Ryan right now. It's not.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so there's John's camera. That's Thelma Ritter and my mother. And up here is Gregory Peck. You're right, we should go to the table. I'm going to go to the table camera, but we're going to switch to the table camera because it isn't sharp, really. Just take that stuff out. There you go. Switch to that camera, Buck. You see it? You're on it. Got it. So this is called Attack on the Wagons by Larry Zabel. It is signed. You see this? Okay, I can't see the monitors, so do I? Okay, so you could see here in gold, it's signed Larry Zabel. That's his real wet signature. This was an artist's proof of what was a limited edition set. But there's Gregory Peck cutting loose the lead teams to give the horses to the Indians. In the movie, the idea was to give the Indians the horses, maybe they'll leave us alone. That's Thelma Ritter and my mom there. And it's a really important scene in the movie, and a beautiful, beautiful litho, very clean, very heavy stock. This is definitely an item worth framing. You can switch back. Again, not really, it's a movie item indirectly because it's a scene from the movie. So if this was me, and we have a few of these, so we will be putting them up occasionally. And I think that this, if you could then find a lobby card or a poster from How the West Won to go with it, it would be phenomenal set. Okay, next item is, now this is just back, remember I said earlier, campy things, right? This qualifies as the campy department here. You've got a poster, the girl named Tamiko. Tamiko?
Yeah.
So it's Gary Merrill. I mean, these are not famous people. So this is just a collectible, fun poster to put like somewhere where you want to just, and it's cheap. I mean, like to get graphic art like this, you can't, it's far more interesting to me, far more interesting than buying some dorky print work at Restoration Hardware. You know what I mean? Like somebody would just buy like some abstract thing and put it on their wall. To me, it's much more interesting to find these items because there's so many different graphic arts available in the movie posters and or autograph pictures or lobby cards that is far more interesting, have far better story than just some random bowl of flowers or some modern art that has no real relevance
Right.
to anything at all. I mean, it may be beautiful, but okay. So there's some more posters that we're doing of my mom's love
And
letter.
that's the last thing that I've got.
Well, the Do It Debbie's Way, that became a bestseller. Video was a million seller DVD. Well, it wasn't a DVD; it was VHS tapes. So this was very popular. Do It Debbie's Way. That was the promotional poster, very collectible. And you can see she's got a very nice little figure going there at that time. Love Letters was, again, she went out and performed this just because she wanted to, which was a really fun. Did you have something to do with Love Letters at some point?
I did Love Letters with Campbell Scott, George C. Scott's son, yeah.
So
in New York.
So it was they like to take this show out and attach people to it. So, and they got her to do it. I don't know how they got her to do
Yeah.
it. But my mother was like that. She would
It's
get
a great
turned on.
it's a great play. It's wonderful, but it's easy to step in and out of because you actually read the play. It's
Right.
and you're sitting on opposite sides of the stage, and so it's not you don't have to memorize it. You can step right into it. I
Do
mean,
you
we
have your poster from that movie? From that show?
I do not, and as you know, I have a poster from it. My program.
All right, so
Okay.
we have a program. But,
Yeah.
but this gets
I sadly did not save any of my own stuff.
a lot of people,
So, you
like
know-
Carrie didn't either. For what my mother going through the trash.
No, I
We would
know.
have very little of Carrie's as well.
My mom used to say, you're going to
Sorry.
regret it that you don't save, episodes or press clippings. And she was right. I do regret it. But I thankfully can go to eBay and I
Here are
buy
the-
anything
here are the
I
words,
see that
here
I
are the
want.
words
Yeah.
that I heard spoken many times
Okay.
by Carrie in particular. My mother would bring something to her
Yeah.
years later. And she, oh my gosh, what is this? She'd saved some script or some pictures out of the trash.
Yeah.
And my mother said, well, I dug that out. You threw that away 5 years ago. It was in your trash can. And, we share garbage. Remember they had the garbage
Yeah.
can area shared?
Yep.
My mother would literally go through the trash. And so, like a homeless person, she would get stuff out of there, and then she would have Donald preserve it. And she was like, well, it didn't seem important at the time, Carrie used to always say. And
Right.
my mother was like, yes, that's how it is.
Yeah.
But you see, I've been trying to get this across to you your whole life. I have been trying to show you this stuff's important. I don't know that she ever got it across to Carrie. Not
Yeah.
really. Because
I love some of the personal things we have in the museum that were Carrie's, like a certain pair of shoes or,
My mom.
yeah. I
And
mean,
by the way,
it's a wonderful thing.
It wasn't me. I did not have access, especially when we were little, to a lot of these things. I have Carrie's and my baby clothes and my Boy Scout and Cub Scout uniforms, and we have Carrie's Girl Scout uniform, and all of that stuff. My mother, just whatever reason, knew that it was going to be relevant on some level at some point. So I think we all need to take heed to my mother's example and
Save things.
Well, not everybody's going to be
Yeah.
super famous. Like, who would know that Carrie was going to be famous? But I think that does go to, you have your stuff that you save personally. Now, going back just so I can for the Love Letters show. That's a great example of something somebody could collect. How many different people played in Love Letters, and how many posters could you get of different people playing from Love Letters? And I think the answer is there were a lot of people that played Love Letters. Would you not agree, Kat?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like I said, it's such a great play because if I wanted to do it and I could think of a co-star that has a name, and I could just call and go, hey, you want to do Love Letters with me at such and such a theater? We wouldn't even have to rehearse it. We
Right.
did not rehearse the one that I did with Campbell Scott, and I remember thinking, oh, I hope this is going to be okay. But the writing is so strong on it that it's a fantastic play and easy to put up, so.
Well, so my point, though, is you could collect that. I mean, I'm not trying to tell people what to collect, but I mean, you could see, like, if that's your show, how you could go out and find all those, and it would not be an expensive collection. You could find either posters or the playbills from those shows. Other examples are you find movies that are your favorite movies, and you can, if you can't afford the one-sheet posters, you can find the lobby cards. I have a Molly Brown half sheet that I'm putting up, not super expensive, yet it's my mother's greatest movie. So for a real Debbie fan to be able to buy a Debbie poster and have it framed, is a worthwhile thing. Sadly, I don't have a ton of that stuff signed. Occasionally we'll throw out something if I have something that's extra beyond what I'm keeping. This half sheet, for an example, I had a couple of them, and this one's in decent shape, so I went ahead and put that one up in the auction.
Yep.
But again, your favorite star, whoever that may be. Unfortunately, so like you might have some contemporary stars are way easier. These earlier movies from today are much less exposed, and those posters could go up in value too. For an example, what was the one that I have with Robin Williams and everybody?
Oh,
So I have a poster of the comic Relief, and it's signed by Robin and Whoopi and Billy Crystal. And it's not my thing.
I can pull it up here.
Okay, so but we don't know exactly what we're going to do with this right now, but it's not my thing. I will never hang it up. Go ahead and show that. So, but there it is, signed by all three of them. And Robin, of course, not being with us anymore makes that thing very rare. And that's a one-sheet poster. I will be putting that up for sale on some level at some point because it just isn't going to find its way into my rotation. As you can imagine, our rotation, is complicated. And there's a lot of stuff. Oh, that's good. Show that close-up shot there. There's the signatures. So that makes it pretty darn valuable. This was at DR Studios also. And, a nice double piece there. But I bring that up because, if this is a more contemporary film, that poster's not super valuable. The signatures make it valuable. But you could collect things that, I'll tell you what I started to do many years ago. I collected, you can go back to me. I collected all the best Oscar-winning films or best nominated for Best Picture films. And in fact, that's one thing that's on the claim sale. Am I wrong? Is we have the Academy Award winning the poster.
Yes. Oh, correct. Yes.
Okay, so we are also putting up, I think we have a couple of them, right?
I think we have one, but I think there are a couple.
No, I'm
people are
going to
interested.
give you 4 for the claim sale. What I like about this poster, I use this poster as a reference for how I'm going to collect. So this is a poster that shows like the 60 years at the time of best pictures. And every poster from the silent era or the 30s forward is listed. And I have tried to find these posters, and I click them off my list, and I have that poster that's my reference. And what's cool about that is some of those posters are very affordable. A Best Picture, Braveheart, for an example, one for Best Picture, or Silence of the Lambs. So you don't have to break the bank to have that. If you try to get Gone with the Wind, you better be in a pretty good financial position to buy that poster. So I would just suggest that you look. That's in the claim sale coming up, by the way, and it's a great thing to have. They're not super expensive, but it's a great poster
I have
to
it.
have.
I'll throw it up here in a millisecond.
Okay.
Seth just sent it to me.
Well, what's neat about this is it allows people a reference. So there are books on this as well, but to me, this is a really simple way to really. Okay, this is cool. Go to that Zoom. So you see how that's all the best pictures, and there's Ben-Hur and Gigi, etc. The ones in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Godfather. And some of those are very affordable, and some are not. But you could build a Best Picture poster collection, which the collection is a fun thing. And maybe that collection spans, you can come back to me, maybe that collection spans a couple of generations, where you hand it off to your kids and then they collect it. Isn't that a nice thing to do? I mean, you think about it. My mother, I'm sure, is happy about one thing, if anything, that I'm sitting here doing this. She would be freaking thrilled, that message was delivered, into my genetics. And that here we are talking about things that she was passionate about, and I'm handing it down to you, and then you can hand it down to others. And this is how we preserve our history. The problem with the world today is that we're focused on dumbass stuff, a lot of things that are dumbass, and the arts are a really important thing to focus on, and to be turned on by the arts and promote the arts and hand the arts down to your children is a great thing. And what I mean by the arts is not just movies. I'm talking about just art in general, whether it be music or paintings or any art form that could be just even writing. So it's just important to hand that stuff down, because if you look, the world is filled with these lame distractions, like all day long, this noise from the TV, all this drama bullshit that's just coming at us from every direction. It's important to mute that down with the arts. Whatever those arts are. They could be your movies. It could be listening to music. It's the old expression, you got to go out and smell a little rose now and again. Or
Yes.
read a little poetry, view a little art, listen to a little music, because that's what mutes down the craziness of the world.
Yes. Seth, there's a couple people up here that are talking about Shirley Temple that in the chat. Yes, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Well, that you could explain that.
Okay, well, I do because I watched Shirley Temple when I was a little girl. That's one of my fondest memories of, watching television, was watching Shirley Temple, who was my age at the time, if I was, I think maybe 4 or 5, and she was 4 or 5 as she was.
And what did she do to you?
Besides
entertain you.
Yeah, she entertained me. I was just blown away because I'm thinking, well, that girl's my age. I can't do any of this stuff. And look at her and she her accomplishments, I think, were just so, but she was adorable.
But did
and
she
there was
inspire you on some level?
She inspired me like crazy because if she could do that, then anybody could do that. If you really wanted to. And I really do believe that we only hold ourselves back by our limited thinking, or having somebody talk us out of a dream, or someone saying, oh, that's never going to happen to you, or only other people, things like that. And so here I am watching this little girl doing impossible things, and I don't know, I wouldn't miss her. I would get up every Saturday to watch, a Shirley Temple film.
I think that you'll never know that you couldn't have accomplished that unless you tried to accomplish that. Now,
That's right.
I'm not saying that everybody can do everything that she did.
Well, not everybody is motivated.
No, but
to
if you don't even
do
try
that.
and you don't ever go out there and put yourself out there, you're never going to ever know. So there's lots of people that have lived and died that had buried enormous talents that had never been seen
that
the
died
light.
with their music inside of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that sorry ass?
Yeah,
And it's generally because somebody around them told them or beat them down and said, you can't do this.
Right.
And there's that word can't. And so the beauty of watching the movies is what you're saying, is you see these people and it fires you up. It inspires you. Wow, I wonder if I could do that. Now, obviously, she had a certain je ne sais quoi. I mean, she was magic, in so many ways. And as she got older, by the way, she wasn't as interesting I'm not putting her down, but let's be real. As a child actress, she was
I'm
world
sorry
class.
I never got to meet her, and I could have. I just didn't push it enough, And so for Nicole Talencio,
Okay, John, you're going to have to get these.
This is for you because this is one of the most prized.
John's camera.
Where's John?
Right there.
Okay, so let me. Okay, there they are. These
We'll
are
cut to
some of
John's
the
camera.
most prized.
There you go. Look on your monitor now.
These
Focus
are
up.
Shirley Temple's tap shoes.
From Broadway Melody of 1938.
Yeah, and so when you look at them, how tiny they are,
And they may have even danced on this floor.
they might have danced on the. Oh my gosh! Listen to that.
Well, they got to be loose.
Yeah.
They're almost too tight. The back one's perfect.
But I mean, it just blows my mind. This blows my mind that these are Shirley Temple's shoes, and that her DNA is probably inside of this shoe.
We're actually got a petri dish growing Shirley
so
right
we're going
now.
to clone Shirley Temple.
We're gonna.
But I love
There'll
this.
be a
I
piece
love
of
it.
the dance floor with some of Shirley Temple's DNA available in the next sale.
Yeah, so these, I wanted to bring this up because 2 or 3 people talked about Shirley Temple in the chat.
Well,
and
speaking of that, are there any questions worth repeating?
Yeah, and then,
Shirley? I don't
we're
wanna be
running
rude.
late, so we want to, not keep you all.
I don't know how late it is.
Well, it's
Midnight?
No, we've been on an hour and 20.
Okay, that's a good number to
Yeah.
start wrapping up. So let's get to the. Is there some good questions though? I think that's a good time for questions.
Yeah, do we have any questions?
If you've asked a question and we didn't catch it, you may want to re-ask it real quick because we could take the next few minutes. We could take the next few minutes and answer.
That's funny. Frank Virtue said, I never put animal crackers in my soup.
Okay, Frank is
Shirley Temple reference.
right. Well,
Yes.
Frank is watching, and he's an interesting example of a person that's super passionate about a star. So he was really passionate about Jane Mansfield and just immersed himself in that, and everything he could get and find out about her, he did. And I mean, even I'm sure when he didn't have the money, he found the money, he mortgaged the house, whatever he had to do to keep this collection going. That kind of passion. Now, I don't recommend mortgaging the house to collect shit, but I do recommend being passionate because it's fun and it keeps you also always looking. Like I'm always my mind is full of things, and I'm always looking for things to fill out my little collections of things.
Any James Dean or Natalie Wood stories?
Well, no, I mean, James...
I have a Natalie Wood.
Okay, well, James Dean, well, I could tell you a Natalie Wood story, but not a James Dean story.
Yeah.
But James Dean, of course, passed away really young.
Right.
Right near my ranch, in fact, on Highway 46,
Yep.
a tractor pulled out and he wrecked in his Porsche, and that was the end of his career after just a handful of movies. In fact, he is a great example of a star that made very few movies that attained,
iconic. Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if like legend status.
Yes.
And I would say he's the exception in the sense that the fewest movies to the most legendary status. Monroe made way more stuff than he did, so it's pretty remarkable. But Natalie Wood, is that the other one?
Natalie Wood.
So Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood were together.
A couple of times.
And we were making a movie, Carrie and I, a short film called You're You. And there was a funeral scene. I've told this story before, but I'm going to retell it for those of you who have never heard it. And we used to make these short films. We were 16 years old. Carrie was 17. We had written some music for it. We'd had a script. And we were doing the funeral scene of Carrie. And she had a feathered white coffin. It was on the lawn of Cher's estate, which went up the hill. And around the coffin was Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner and Cher and some others crying over Carrie's demise. And this is like dark humor, but we thought it was clever at the time. But I remember at the time thinking to myself, while those two were there,
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking because I knew my mother had a crush on Robert Wagner, always. And it made me think how weird life is, because my mother used to say, she said to me, I forgot how old I was when she said this, but she pointed Robert Wagner out to me one time. She said, he could have been your father. That kind of went in my mind like, I don't know how significant that is, but okay. But there I was looking at Robert Wagner, and he's with this other woman, and you start thinking about ships passing in the night and how my mother had a crush on him. But, my mother was enough of a bad girl for him.
Right.
She was too much of the goody two-shoes, apple pie girl next door, and so he was never attracted to her. I got to talk to him at the Debbie Reynolds Hotel because he used to come to the Jazz and Jokes thing we did there all the time. He and Steve Wynn would sit in this booth until 3 a.m, and my mom would just go on, and they'd sit there, and I would chat with him about that kind of stuff. And, we used to talk about how cute my mom was, but just not really his type. I mean, in so many words. So that's, and I, my mom told stories, of course, of Natalie Wood and the boat.
Yeah.
And in her mind, she talked to Robert about this, and how there was really, it wasn't intended to be what it was, but it was kind of like you are so mad at somebody that you are just like, I'm not even going to respond to anything. I don't care what you're doing or saying, even if you're crying for help and we don't even know what's going on. So, I mean, to me, that was just an accident of accidents.
Yeah.
But I think that they let her stay in the water and they didn't realize what was really going on. That is the way it was explained to me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really anything nefarious other than there was some bad behavior going on.
Yeah.
Well,
my Natalie Wood story is I'm the first job I ever had. Well, no, it was the second job I ever had, and it was a movie called The Last Married Couple in America, and it was with George Segal and Natalie Wood and Dom DeLuise and a bunch of really fantastic actors. It was at Universal Studios, and so I walked in to get my costume fitting, before the movie started, and I didn't know that Edith Head was the designer. And of course, I grew up reading movie magazines. and Edith Head, I knew exactly who that was. And so when I walked in there and the assistant said, strip down to your panties and just stand on that thing. And I was like, always really shy
it's weird.
I was
Isn't
I was
that-
raised by a single dad, so I was all messed up
But
about
isn't that
being
what I said to you
nude
the
in
first
front of
time we
people.
met also? I thought those similar words.
Todd said, strip down and just stand over there. I'll be there in a minute.
Strip down into your panties.
Strip down to your panties.
No, it's for show business. Don't worry about it.
Hashtag me too. Anyway,
Poor thing.
that's right. So I was standing there in my panties, getting ready to for whatever, and because I'd never been fitted for a costume before, and I don't even remember how old I was, but I think I was like 19 or something like that. And Edith Head walked in, and she was so severe looking,
yes.
that I knew who she was immediately, and she was like, "Oh, well, you have a very adorable figure." I was thinking to myself, I could just die right now because I was naked practically in front of another human being, which for me was a nightmare. Anyway, she measured me and all that stuff, and she just was so great. Now we start the movie. Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner had just gotten remarried, not that long before the movie started. And of course, me being so inexperienced, I mean, this is seriously one of my very first jobs. So I was just watching everybody, trying to learn, and so Natalie Wood was not, she was very nice, but she wasn't effusive.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, she was not an effusive person. I did not ever walk over to her personal space, ever, and I just remember one night we would go to the dailies after we would shoot. They would show you what you shot the day before. Yeah. And so I can't remember who it was that invited me to the dailies because I just had a small role.
It had to be a director or something.
I think it was the producer.
Well,
I was
that
the
would-
director. It actually was the director.
You had to have
Yes,
upper level.
it was Gil Cates.
invites.
It's exactly who it was. And so I went to, and I sat there, and Robert Wagner had pulled up in this yellow Rolls Royce, this pale yellow Rolls Royce. And I remember thinking, my jaw just hit the floor. You can imagine a 19-year-old girl who read fan magazines, her whole childhood. And here I am on a set with Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood.
That's a dream.
And now they sit in front of me in dailies. And I remember watching them cuddle.
Really?
Yeah, they cuddled.
On the rebound.
Well, they were just gotten married
The
again.
rematch.
Yeah, and the rematch, and they were cuddly with each other, and I was watching that and thinking, whose life is this I'm getting to live right now?
I think
yeah.
I think Elizabeth and Richard Burton, pulled that same kind of stuff where they 1 minute, were literally going to kill each other.
Yeah.
And then like months later they're remarrying and all lovey-dovey, and to me that's like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I'm too severe.
Are we doing any more questions or we go to giveaways?
I think we need to go.
Your mom knew Marilyn Monroe.
My mother did know Marilyn Monroe, but I never did. And the only story I ever heard about any of that was that she had met her at 20th Century Fox, and and Marilyn was very, very, just say nice and super friendly. And my mother, though, always felt that there was like this deep sadness in her. And my mother's a really, bubbly personality is an easy way to say it. So like she was very sensitive to stuff like this. And so so that was the way. And when she died, I remember where I was. I was in our projection room, and Marilyn had died. My mother said that she had died, and I have this memory of her saying, "I'm not really surprised." She was always very, very sad. It isn't that sad, that amazingly beautiful, talented person had been destroyed by people. My mother felt always that she had been destroyed by people around her, and they took her down. So that's a lesson too, not to hang around the wrong folks.
Yeah.
If people are taking you down, run away. So speaking of run away, we're going to spin the wheel for giveaways.
Yeah, let's give stuff away.
What do we got anyway? I don't even know.
We have, so I have right here the first prize will be a
First prize is a $25 gift certificate to Cat Cosmetics. Okay.
Spending your money.
Spending my money, and I love to donate these. So $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com is going to Christina Washington.
Is that a new name?
Christina Washington is a brand new name, and so Christina, if you're still here, because you have to be in it to win it, go ahead and private message me right here on my Facebook page and say, I won the $25 gift certificate. And here's my email address, and we will send that to you.
I want to do one of these.
If you have never shopped at Cat Cosmetics, you're going to love it. So there you go. And then
Next item.
Next item.
Oh, we're giving away more of Kat's money.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right. Miracle Working Cream to Gel Moisturizer. This is what I use. I love it. It is so. Oh, Michael Bollinger.
Thank God.
Oh, you don't know. I love Michael Bollinger. Congratulations, Michael. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Has he not been on the show?
No, Michael. I would see. He came to my show when I was in Illinois performing, and that's where we.
Is this something a man can use?
Yes, Michael actually does like skincare, but there you go, Michael. It's getting sent to you. I know you're here because I just saw you, but make sure you write me and give me your address. And then number 3, Ryan. Who have we got here? Okay.
More of Kat's money going out the window. Come get some of Kat's money.
He's giving away my money. All right, Nicole Johnson.
Oh, that's the name.
We are sending you the Miracle Working Foaming Cleanser, the best cleanser in the world. It will take off your makeup, your eye makeup, everything without stripping your skin. And I mean, it is our #1 cleanser. So you are going to get a bottle of that, Nicole Johnson. Congratulations. Number 4, Ryan.
Okay. What number is this? 8.
All righty. And we have the winner, and then I'll tell you what you won. Dina Fulmer. Oh my gosh, Dina, I haven't heard your name in a while. Congratulations. You have won the Miracle Working Muscle Gel from Cat Cosmetics, the best.
Ooh, I love it.
Do you need some, by the way? Right.
I have a smidgen left.
A smidge isn't going to do it. I'll send you some tonight.
You didn't put your name in there, Ryan. You could have won.
The Miracle Working Muscle Gel, there is nothing on the market like it. You put it on, it will take away that pain. It will lessen, when I get a headache, I put it on the back of my neck and my shoulders, and I use it a lot because I have joint pain. So Miracle Working Muscle Gel coming your way. Dina Fulmer, go ahead and write me and say, Kat, it's Dina, and I won the muscle gel.
Number
Here's
5.
my address. Number 5.
Number 5 is me.
Okay.
So this was going to be the DVD of The Singing Nun. Go back to me. Okay. We'll get the name.
Nikki Luongo.
I'll tell you what, John, see if you can get a shot of that, because that's worth getting a shot of.
Yeah.
So these DVDs and Blu-rays were given to us by the folks at Time Warner. They are really supportive of this sort of thing because we are the nostalgia people that love to talk about old movies and love to turn other people onto it. This is a great movie with my mother playing a nun. In fact, this is the movie that is responsible for her saying to Carrie and I many times that I was a nurse. And we would say, what do you mean you were a nurse? Well, I was a nurse. And we were like, well, when would you have had time to be a nurse exactly after Miss Burbank, So you paying attention there? Yeah. So anyway, that is a fun movie and a fun thing to win. Next item.
Congratulations, Nikki Luongo.
Nikki
Next one.
Okay, next is, John, you could stay with that same shot. We'll have that available. This is Hit the Deck with my mother, which is a really fun musical. Great.
Andy Luvano.
Is that a new person?
No, he's been here.
Been here a million
Andy
times.
Luvano, and this
You won
is
a Blu-ray of Hit the Deck. This is a remastered Blu-ray too. It's fantastic. It's a very fun movie. It has one of my favorite Ann Miller numbers with my mother, where they sing "Why Oh Why Oh Wherefore."
Yeah.
Which a fantastic harmony number, a little musical. And the next one, back to your close-up. This is "I Love Melvin."
Oh, I
one
love
of my
this movie.
favorite Little Debbie movies
Me
with
too.
Donald O'Connor, and they were lifelong buddies because of this movie. Go to your wheel.
And the
this is a-
winner is, it's going to,
Winner is
Diana Goach. Diana Goach, congratulations. And we have one more prize.
one more, and this is the big one. This is a big giveaway.
Make
item.
sure, everybody, that you write me to say what you won, and you know, if it's something to be sent, I need your address. So that
right.
would be
If
great.
you won, you need to tell them.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the big item
This
of the
is
night.
the big item of the
This
night.
is a piece of the dance floor from DR Studios that we showed the video of earlier with Michael Jackson and all the great people that have danced on this floor. So that's a big item that somebody won, and it is...
Tracy Saunders, you are the winner. You need to write and claim it, Tracy, and then we'll send it out to you. And congratulations. It's so great.
And we've made it.
And we did it. We did the show. I'm going to go put the chickens away.
Well, I'm hoping that we gave everybody some information. There's two things that we want to do, hope to have done, is to get you sort of turned on.
Yep.
So that you go out and find your passion and find something that's fun to collect, whatever that might be. My grandmother collected thimbles, sewing thimbles.
Yep.
You know, I have another person, a friend of mine, that collects salt and pepper shakers. So it doesn't have to always be, you know, Hollywood per se, but this stuff is fun to collect because
Yep.
it's got a lot of great moments that we all have our favorite moments when we say this is our favorite star, our favorite moment in a movie, our favorite musical or inspirational moment, you know. So that's why it's a fun thing to collect. So, you know, we wanted to encourage everybody to find your passion and collect something that you can hand down to other generations.
Yep. And I just really am so happy that we did this show because that's something different we haven't done. So I like that.
See, Carrie gave me this. You got a shot of this, John? This little guy here, this is one of the earlier, you know how you had the Baby Yoda that came out just a few years ago, but this is old. This thing's been around a long time, and so she gave this to me a long time ago. Now, it has nothing to do with this Yoda, but I put him in Yoda's arms a long time ago, and I've left him because it looks kind of like he's clay. But that was a collectible. I don't even know if this is even valuable on any level. It is to me because Carrie gave it to me, and I thought it was really cute. So that little guy has stayed with this. Now, he's expensive because he's a collectible, like a sideshow. This is a limited number edition collectible. But that's just a regular stuffed animal. But that could be valuable too. Ryan probably knows if that thing is worth anything. But even if it's not, it is to me. You see, I don't really care what that's worth. It's cool to me. I have great memories of Carrie giving it to me, and he's taken care of him for all this time. He's very well protected there in the arms of Yoda. And who wouldn't want to be protected by Yoda? I mean,
I would like to be protected.
Small but mighty.
Yes. Well, tomorrow is Mother's Day, and so we want to, you know, say that we hope that all you mothers are celebrated tomorrow perfectly. For those of us who only have feathered and fur children, we're moms too. What'd you get me? What'd you get me?
For Mother's Day?
Yeah.
I'll never tell.
Just kidding.
Collectibles.
He always gets me things from the animals. So, you know.
Claim sale tomorrow as well.
Reminder.
Oh, that's right. And we'll just remind you that there is a claim sale tomorrow.
And the auction items are going up.
And the auction items are going up. Oh,
They've already been, people are bidding.
oh
People
that's
are
good.
bidding.
Okay, great.
So we probably should go through that a little bit briefly. In order to bid on some of the things we've been talking about, for those of you who don't know, you have to register with the Debbie Reynolds Studio Store
Hollywood
site,
Studio
Hollywood
Store.
Studio Store, Debbie Reynolds Hollywood Studio Store on Facebook, and then Ryan or Seth can let you in. It's something we have sort of make people be a member of so we can vet people. There are quite a few people. I think there's about 1,100 members of that site that are people that are obviously collectors. So you have to go through the Facebook page in order to bid on the auction items. On the claim sale, is that same thing with the claim sale, right? So you have to register to get in on the claim sale. Now the claim sale is always got a lot of good things in it because it means it's got something that we have a few of. So there's always great deals there.
He's showing everything up there.
Yeah, he's showing things right now. You can leave it right there. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, there. Yeah, put that all. Yeah, there you go. So that's Ryan is showing the Facebook site right now. We've obviously talked about a lot of these items. So there's some further descriptions of these items, and you can get into them and
Yep.
see if it's something
people
that.
are bidding here, and
Yeah, I mean, if it
yeah,
turns
we're off to the races.
if it turns you on. I mean, don't, there's two reasons to collect this thing. Some people collect to resell. Other people collect because they want it in their house and they're passionate about it on a more personal level. Those are all valid reasons. A lot of people bought stuff, like at my mother's estate sale or auctions over the years, and I see this stuff come up for resale. I know everything that got sold, so I
Yeah.
was looking at it, and I'll see it on eBay. Now I remember selling that item, and they're going to put some crazy high price on it. There are people that buy things, and maybe someone will come along and say, "Got to have it."
It's only worth as much as someone will pay for it
At any given
at
moment.
any given moment. That's the thing about auctions that are so, interesting.
And that's what's fun about this auction too. These items
Yeah.
will roll off with however they go.
Yep.
There it goes.
Well, that's
Say goodnight,
all
Jake.
we know. And
You want to
there's
introduce your buddy?
who?
Guy in the back of the room there.
John Stetson. Come up here. Come up here. John Stetson, America's master
Is that handheld
mentalist.
mic over there still?
That hand mic is not here.
Okay. Well,
But
he can,
Look what I found.
yeah, there you go.
Oh, you found a hand mic.
Let me
I'll be
I'm
darned.
going to bring it
I
up.
found
So
makeup
turn
in
that
the
on,
chair.
John. Look on the bottom.
So John Stetson, who is, one of my best friends, also one of my mentors, and also just the most phenomenal mentalist. So if you ever have a chance to see John's show, you absolutely have to. So welcome. You got in last night.
Yes, I did.
Why
And,
do you come out here? Tell me.
I come out here to get well.
Talking to the mic.
I'm talking into the mic. It's not on.
It's not on?
No, it's on.
Oh, okay.
It's going out that way.
Okay.
So many people say that Las Vegas is not a city that you go to get well.
There you go.
For me, it is. I come here to heaven on earth and recharge my batteries, see my family here and the people I love so much, and that's why.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of things, business and things too, but this
Yeah,
is,
of course. But I love when my friends come out to see us because it is a reboot time. People
And
come
then we
here.
force them to be on television.
That's right. But people come here to get
He thought he was here to
recharged.
relax.
Yeah.
I'm so glad because there were so many things we were talking about. Tonight was great. I know so many people who were involved in the history of magic and conjuring and mystery. As a matter of fact, their greatest event happened this week, their annual event on Queen Mary. Looking at
Oh, I wish I had known about that.
history and of course,
Yeah.
the stone lithographs, which I have a small collection of, but the history of mystery, as I call it, and it's such a special little niche area, and there are some unscrupulous people, and there's a very famous person in this town who was actually duped by one of these folks who
Made
claimed to be
copies.
selling Houdini's top hats
Oh,
and things of that type
yeah.
and whatnot. So it's a very big thing. But when we were talking about James Dean, I think it was just 3 pictures, right?
Well, so Rebel Without a Cause, Giant,
Yeah.
Giant was released after he passed.
right? And what was the other one?
East of Eden.
East of Eden.
East of Eden.
That's it.
Yeah, that was it, right?
Yep.
The 3 ones.
I'm not sure, but those are MGM movies.
Yeah, but the big question I had for you is regarding the Walk of Fame. Recently, I had heard that they are removing several stars.
What?
Just to redo.
Oh,
or
wow.
redo it, and among them was Oliver Hardy. I can't recall off the top of my head. But this was something that I heard
Well,
just within the last.
So
few weeks
what
or so.
they've done this before, but they usually relocate the item. So I would be stunned if they, shit canned something, because that would be so inappropriate. But what I have seen them do, and this does make sense sometimes, they rotate some things around depending upon, like, new things come in, it makes sense, or there's construction, and when they put in Hollywood and Highland, they move things around.
Right.
So, I mean, by the way, if that ever happens, let me know, because I'll be the first one down there raising hell, because that's the kind of stuff that cannot happen.
Right.
We cannot allow that kind of stuff. I mean, gets back to me fetching about history being destroyed.
Yes.
You know, that's no different in my mind. You know, Oliver Hardy earned his place in history as one of the greatest comedians of all time. Sorry, and if someone wanted to cancel him out, I would be very upsetting. And it's the same thing like when they decided they wanted to, redo the Hollywood Bowl and tear that down. You know, a lot of us were perturbed by that and fought it to the end. And so we didn't win, but we did cause them it made them live inside of a certain box. But needless to say, I think we do have to fight for our history and for how we got here. And you need to be able to show people how we got here. And if you tear everything down and destroy it, how the hell do you know how we got here?
Stand on the shoulders of giants, and without the respect, the memory, and the love of what they actually did and accomplished, it just breaks my heart. And on one hand, it seems hypocrisy that, as we were speaking of earlier today,
Yes.
that Hollywood, in one way, seems to celebrate its history, but prove it.
Well,
Put your money where your mouth is. on
They,
that.
they, you know what it is it's always a matter of convenience or what's popular at the moment. The problem with Hollywood is they're too hung up on like trying to be popular or be loved, and they don't want to ever take sort of an opposing view to anything. It's very, very difficult. At a certain point, you have to stand for what's right. And you know, as an American, you know, I'm very patriotic, and I think you have to stand for our history, and the industry, you know, which is the best thing that America has ever done, is the entertainment industry. That includes the magical arts and every aspect. But that's the thing we do the best. You know, we used to be the best at making cars and other things, but the Chinese have taken all that over. And you know, but still, we are the best at this. And we won't be, though, if we're going to all turn into this mishmash people without telling our stories. Or how about just retelling stories over and over? I mean, there's no new stories to tell? The idea that we have to remake these movies is absurd. The idea that we don't preserve our history, the idea that we're not willing to stand up, you know, for our history, what's right and wrong. I'm not defending, say, slavery, you know, but it is part of your history. So the movie Gone with the Wind, we're not going to cancel that movie out just because it depicts slavery, and nobody's trying to justify it. But the fact is, that's what has happened. And if it wasn't for channels like Turner Classic Movies, you know, this stuff would have been canceled. They had the cojones to say, okay, maybe not the greatest thing that happened in history, but it is part of the history, and the movie is what it is. Yeah. So we have to learn that. I mean, when you see that Spielberg makes a movie like Amistad, or you know, films like that. These are great, you know, movies that have to be made. Schindler's List, that tells a story that is, you know, needs to be told, so we don't repeat these stories. So that, to me, that's an important lesson.
History is our greatest teacher, and yet people don't learn from it, and they're ignoring it now. And it's just crazy to me.
Exactly.
Absolutely crazy.
But we are here to stand up for that stuff.
Yes, we are.
We are going down with a fight, not going to go down without a fight. We are going to stand up for what is right in this country.
The Todd Fisher, ladies and gentlemen.
That's true.
Oh, gosh.
I am my mother's son.
I'm so glad you could come and visit.
Oh,
I don't get any sleep when John visits because we
I
sit
know,
up
'cause
all
you
night
guys have
talking shop.
but also, you know, you have so many things in common. It's always good. Aren't you proud of your student?
Are you kidding? Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know what it must be like for you, but like I love watching. I've watched this whole show of you getting her interested in things and training her to do things, and now look where we are. We've created a monster.
Oh, speaking of, I'm going to be back in
Speaking of
LA
monsters?
in September. I'm going to be performing in September in LA. I'll give more information as soon as I sign the contract and everything. But I'm very excited. That's right. But I'm excited because John and I performed in LA.
Yes.
In fact, a lot of the people that were here are mentioning that. And
What is that like, as you know, being her, you know, watching your student here?
Well, it's an honor. It truly is to see. I mean, Kat's just so creative, and how should I put it? Kat is so Kat, meaning anything that she touches, it becomes hers. Her style, her compassion. She's genuine. She is an absolute genuine performer, and that's what I always saw in your mom.
Yeah.
What I always felt that, and Kat is real, and people sense that, people feel that, people know that. So for me to see her take something, and I'm not going to say simple because there's no such thing as anything. Simplicity is great, but just the small touches that she puts on things, the same way she touches people in a small way every time you're with them.
Aww.
People feel great. And what she does with hypnosis, her hypnosis show, is the most incredible hypnosis show in existence today. It truly is.
John.
Because there are all the comedy aspects of that people just love, and the history, and of course, once again, the history, Pat Collins, the respect that Kat has for the past, for everyone who came first, and her willingness to learn. One of my favorite expressions is, when you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, you rot. And that should be a sign right over your office, kid, because she is constantly developing. Nothing stops. It just goes and goes and goes. And every performance, you are there.
Aww.
You are absolutely there, and it's so apparent that you care about an audience. And when I see a piece, say something of mine that I shared with you, and I go, wow, I should never do that again. That was really good.
Oh, gosh, John. No, but, well, thank you.
Well,
I love what I
It
do.
doesn't happen every day, okay?
Yeah, I know.
But
I do love it.
there are those moments where you just make it beautiful. And at the end of the hypnosis show, there's just such a great energy that you create, and how people, just giving people inspiration but so many people, when they're doing that kind of a message, it may not necessarily be really them. You truly care about them, and people feel great. They walk out inspired.
Aw.
That's right.
It's funny, we were talking about Houdini the other day, the Houdini style and performances. I did a one-man show called The Houdini Experience. It was based on my volatile relationship with a dead guy. Because you talk about being a folklorist, which we all are. We all are folklorists, and when people say, "Oh, I'm not a folklorist," I say, "Well, you ever sung Happy Birthday? Congratulations. You ever put up a Christmas tree?" Actually, in your case, I'll change. You ever taken a Christmas tree down?
Never.
But that's a different story for a different day. It's the whole thing when he really appealed to the people in the upper stalls, in the cheap seats.
Yeah.
Because the whole concept of escape, it hit people in the sense where if he could get out of this box, I could get the promotion. I could perhaps get out of the ghetto. I could find a better way of life. It was truly the American dream at that point in time.
Escape was the dream.
Yes, escape.
That's interesting.
As is a key word.
It was the Depression, right, when he was at his biggest?
Well, no,
or was-
not really. He
After?
passed before the
Oh,
Depression. He died
What
in
year?
1926.
so I didn't get to meet him then.
I'll say no.
No, but so there were other depressions, like post World War I. There was a
yeah,
depression.
of
So
course.
and then you had the American ghettos in those days. So people were truly trying to class struggle was a big deal
Yeah, well, coming to America was
about that.
the dream.
Still is, right?
Still is.
Just have to get them here legally.
That's absolutely correct. We have a friend who did some work with us on a show that Kat and I were doing, and he married a woman in Mexico. Yay! She is still in Mexico and can't get into this country.
Yeah, that's the struggle with the people that don't want to do things right or don't want to stand for the right things, because there's a lot of people that deserve to be here and should be here, and they've been waiting in line patiently to get here. My father's parents came here legally, from the poorest places in Russia and Ukraine, and not very few of us would be here. We're all immigrants.
And the circle is complete here because look at everybody who were the movie people. All came from within what? You would know better than I, like 400 miles, 500 miles of the circle?
Right,
in
because
Eastern Europe,
well,
where-
there's a lot of theater people too. Okay, but take people like Marlene Dietrich and people like that.
Sure.
But also Sarah Bernhardt. I mean, there's a whole history of
Well, I was
that.
referring like to the Warner Brothers.
the
and
producers.
All the producers.
Well,
that was Hollywood.
and
That
most
was
of
the
those people,
400-mile
and they were all Jewish.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the Jewish history in Hollywood is very pronounced. That's why I find it sort of shocking that there's not more support. Let's just say outward support, in Hollywood. I mean, I have no choice. I mean, it's my family roots, but but really all of Hollywood is connected to the Jewish race.
Sure.
I mean,
well, Musso Frank's, right? It was, God, we can finally eat.
the potato pancakes, man, with the applesauce.
Yeah, let's go.
You need to learn how to do that. I bet that would be a good one.
I will make you potato pancakes tomorrow morning.
With applesauce? No,
with
it's Mother's Day.
applesauce.
We're
yes,
not doing that.
I am. I'm the mama, so I get to.
Are we hitting 2 hours yet?
Yeah, we got to let people go. Yeah, we're about to
magic
hit
2 hours.
Good night, everybody. We love you so much. Have a great, great,
When you're
great
asleep.
Mother's Day, and thanks for coming to play with us on this wonderful Saturday night.
And look who we had. We had Mr. Stetson.
We have
as our
John
surprise
Stetson.
guest.
We have Samantha Goet. We've got John
Johnny's
Haas.
here.
I don't
Buck
know who else
Nolly has
here.
even
Buck
been
Nolly
recruited.
is in the back. Seth is
By
here.
the way, Seth worked really hard decorating this
Yes,
set.
he did. Seth did an
He did.
awesome job with this set.
It's, it's just when you're gay, you're just happy.
It just, he said, when you're gay, it just happens.
You're gay?
I know, I found out today.
What the heck?
Let's follow that under. I'm so surprised.
Seth just came out
Call me flabbergasted on this show.
on this show tonight.
Charisse that did it.
Sid Charisse got inspired on the couch. Or was it me talking about, eye to eye with her, the hoochie?
Eye to eye.
All
You
right.
missed out on that. Had you seen what I saw, you may not have ever gone that way.
Hey, do you want to play the video again to get everybody
up to
out?
Ryan.
Ryan, you want to hit that video again to take everybody out so they can say goodnight to
will
each
do
other?
that.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
night.
Good night.
The
Thank you,
marathon
Ryan.
show has come to a conclusion.
All right.
He's going to,
Yes, yes, yes. Good job, Johnny.
that's got to be the longest show yet.
No, he's not on Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that short applause. And speaking of short, please welcome my good friend, Mr. Paul Williams.
Riley,
Oh, Paul, I just love the way you talk and sing. It's wonderful. You know, Paul, the song that I really love, my absolute favorite is Evergreen. It's wonderful.
well, thanks, Lee. I'm gonna do Rainy Days and Mondays.
Even more wonderful.
Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. Talking to myself and feeling low. Sometimes I like to quit. Nothing ever seems to fit. Hang on around. Nothing to do with frown. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down.
They get me down too.
I always wonder where we I still know something about your love.
I love you.
Oh, what seems is the only thing to do. Run and find someone new.
Isn't he wonderful? Thank you very much, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome, Lee.